Okay, we are in our recording. And so I just once again want to just say welcome and thank you for being here and for joining me today to talk about a subject that's near and dear to my heart, the ancestors. I love everything ancestral research, anything that has to do with ancestors, I get excited about. And so I am happy that you are here to share this with me. And today we are focusing on you're not blocked, you're disconnected, and three signs your ancestors are calling you. And so I hear all the time from women that I work with that I feel blocked, I feel stagnant, I feel stuck. And I'm going to tell you why today you're probably not blocked, you're just disconnected. And I'll give you three signs that will help you to know if that's what's happening for you. So, what I'd like to do is just have you take a deep breath for a moment, then this exhale and just kind of settle in because you're in the right place today to hear about the ancestors and how they can support you. So, today we're going to talk about a truth that can shift everything. As I mentioned, you're not blocked, you're disconnected. And the three signs your ancestors are really calling to you right now to help you make some shifts in your life. And for those who are new to me, I'm Dr. MoNique Hunt, the Ancestral Oracle and the creator of the ancestrally rooted sovereignty system. I've helped women leaders and healers all over the world heal ancestral stories, activate their sacred blueprint and their ancestral medicine, and even create their own healing modalities rooted in their lineage wisdom. And I've really distilled down some of the most powerful connection sources and rituals that people can use to have a deeper connection with their ancestors. And I've compiled it in the Ancestral Power Portal. And at the end, I'll tell you a little bit about that if you decide that you want to take your connection with your ancestors even deeper. How I got started was very different. Now, I came from a line of healers and intuitives, but it really was a walk along the gravesite of my enslaved ancestors that brought me to this point. So I was really carrying some heaviness, and maybe some of you have felt the same way, trying everything, but nothing seemed to be moving. And one day, as I was visiting their resting place as a part of a family history research project that we were doing, I stumbled and I fell into the earth. And instead of rushing out, I really paused. Now, mind you, there could have been snakes in that hole. There could have been rodents in that hole, insects in that hole, but something told me to just to be still in that moment. And in the quiet of that moment, the ancestresses rose around me. I could just feel them rising. And I heard this whisper, "You're not blocked, you're being initiated. You're being initiated." And at the time, I was working in corporate America as a construction project engineer, and I didn't love my job. I wasn't happy there. I knew I needed to make some changes. I wasn't sure what. After going to school all those years and doing this job and rising up in the company, I realized that it really wasn't for me, and I had to make a different choice. And that moment was really the moment that redefined my entire life and brought me to where I am today, loving what I do and being able to impact so many lives. So, like many people, I thought I was blocked. I just knew I was being blocked. I knew there was just something that I just couldn't tap into what would be my next steps, what I wanted to do. But what I realized later on is I was really being called. And many of you may feel that way as well and really experiencing the same thing I was. Let's go ahead and let some of these other people that are here in. Mid- Okay, there we go. Okay. So I was, realizing that I really needed to make this shift. And I noticed that there were a lot of people around me that were experiencing the same thing. Our company was downsizing, people were losing their jobs, and they were really unsure about what their next steps would be outside of this company. Now, mind you, that was back in 98. Well, we're kind of experiencing the same thing now, really. People are going through downsizing, they're having to make different choices about what they want to do, and people are really confused. And what I know is once I started connecting with my ancestors and really understanding what my sacred gifts were, what my medicine is that they've passed down through my lineage, that's when everything started to shift and I was able to begin to create something new and different for myself. And the guidance that I received really helped me to understand what some of my natural gifts were that I wasn't even in tune with working as a construction engineer. So that was really how things started shifting for me. And since then, I have taught thousands of people how to connect with their ancestors, how to heal ancestral stories, and how to really activate that sacred blueprint, that unique medicine that we each have inside of us that has been perfected by our ancestors. And what I find is that when people step into the ancestrally rooted circle that I've created, it's usually because the ancestors are initiating and calling people to wake up to the gifts that are there, and they're the ones to carry them forward. So if you're here, that is probably your ancestor is really speaking to you. So let me talk a little bit about the signs you're disconnected and not blocked. So number one,
Well,
repeat.
let me come give you a hug, Joy.
Whoops, let me
Thank you
put
for lunch.
everybody
I
on.
appreciate it. I will have to rest a little bit. Oh, so hungry.
Make sure you mute yourself. There we go. I got you muted. Okay. We have some people that are coming in. Beautiful. Okay, for those of you that are just joining us, what we're talking about now are the three signs you're disconnected and not blocked. And the first one is repeating patterns of scarcity and doubt. Repeating patterns of scarcity and doubt. And what I usually see is that you've invested, you've tried, you've pushed, you've struggled, you've hustled, but that same cycle keeps repeating itself. That's not a block, it's your ancestors saying, heal this story. Heal this story. So for people who, let's say, you're all ready to invest in your business, maybe you've decided you're going to hire a VA, or maybe you've decided that you are going to start working with a coach or invest in a program, and suddenly you have a plumbing problem, or your car breaks down, or something happens, right? And you start to feel like every time I'm ready to do something, every time I'm ready to make an investment in myself or in my business, or I get ready to go on a vacation, something always happens and I'm not able to do it. And that is a repeating cycle of scarcity. So that's one of the patterns that we begin to see with the scarcity. You may have it and then it's gone, or you may not ever have enough to do the things that you want to do. And that isn't anything blocking you. Oftentimes, those are stories that our ancestors have held onto that need to be healed. And it could be stories of poverty, it could be stories of loss, it could be stories of a lack of something, a lack of love, a lack of a home, a lack of food. Anything that created lack within our ancestral lineage can now show up as a scarcity block for us. And that scarcity block can be around money, or it could be around relationships. Let's say you're wanting to build relationships, both personal and professional, but you just can't seem to connect, or the people just don't seem to be coming in. That's another scarcity. And that's another pattern of scarcity. Or you attract people, but they're not the right people, right? They're not the people that you really feel like you want to be around, or you're attracting people to your work, but yet These people are saying that they don't want to work with you, or they're unable to work with you, or they're just not a good fit for your work. Doesn't make them bad people, but it just means that you're attracting the wrong people for what you're offering. And oftentimes that is part of a pattern of scarcity. And that is an ancestral story that needs to be healed. Okay, so that's number one, repeating patterns of scarcity or doubt. Number two, fear of visibility or speaking your truth. This is a big one that I see quite often with, particularly with women who are spiritual healers doing spiritual work. There's this fear of being visible. There's a fear of really standing up and speaking your truth, and that fear is real, right? So you hold back. You may silence yourself. You second guess. Um, you begin to think that maybe I shouldn't share or it's not safe to share. And that's often ancestral. Your voice actually carries the weight of the silenced ancestors, of the ones that couldn't speak. So let me share with you a little bit how this one can show up. If you had ancestors that were healers or intuitives, or they were psychics even, these ancestors may have been silenced. Maybe they were silenced, they were killed for showing their gifts. Maybe they were ostracized for it. Maybe people didn't want to be around them because of it. If your ancestors experienced any of that, then oftentimes it will create a fear of visibility. And here's what sometimes happens: your ancestors want to protect you, they want to support you, they want to help you. And they don't always understand that blocking you or keeping you safe is not really helping you. And so they will want to keep you safe. They don't want you to experience what they experience. This is why we have to work with those ancestors and clear those things out, because they don't want to see you hurt or deal with the same situation that they dealt with. So they're wanting to hold you and support you in a way that doesn't actually help you to move forward. And so fear of visibility and speaking your truth can be grounded in your ancestral stories. But I also want to remind you that even though there are ancestors that are dealing with some of the wounding of their lived lives, there are ancestors, and there's more of them, who are courageous, healthy, happy, and whole that can support you as well. And we just have to invite them to come in and really get them to work with some of the ancestors that are struggling with some of the wounds that they experienced in their lived lives. So I say that there's the astral ancestors and the ascended ancestors. And your ascended ancestors are those ones that are happy, healthy, healed, whole, courageous, wise, and are ready to support you. And the astral ancestors are those that are kind of stuck in the astral plane, still working through some of these stories that they experienced in their lives. And they haven't quite released them yet. And they are almost like in between our world and the ascended spiritual ancestral world. And so they kind of keep their foot here in a sense, and they're protecting us. But we really want to work with those ascended ancestors to help those in the astral plane to ascend. So, number two, fear of visibility, speaking your truth. How many people have experienced that? Have you felt like, you can drop it in the chat on a scale from, let's say, 1 to 5, 1 being, I have never, ever, ever felt that way, and 5 being, yes, I have absolutely felt like I just could not share, or been worried or concerned, or something about sharing your spiritual voice. What's happening for you? Let's see. Okay, Pat said an 8. Okay. Okay. Okay, a 4. Yeah. Okay, a 4. 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 Okay, a Yeah, a four, definitely. I see this all the time when people are wanting to really share their work and they're doing spiritual work. There is a certain amount of fear that comes up. And once what I've noticed is when I'm working with my clients who experience that, who are fours or even eights, when we heal those ancestral stories, the support of the other ancestors comes in and it gives you this freedom then to begin to feel comfortable sharing. But also, while we're doing this, we're in community, right? And so you're in a community with other people, other women who have some of the same fears and some of the same struggles. And so we support each other and help each other to move out of that. Safer to not be seen or heard. I'm learning to speak up. Yeah, sometimes we do feel like it's safer for someone, to really kind of stay in the shadows and to not be heard. And so we don't, right? But what is the cost? What is the cost? If you feel called to do this work, if you know that you're supposed to be doing this work, and you're staying in the shadows, it's costing you your joy. It's costing you your peace. But it's not only costing you, it's costing all those people that you're supposed to be here supporting and helping, right? They're not getting what they need from you. That medicine that only you hold. Because all of us have a unique ancestral medicine that has been passed down through generations. And if we're staying in the shadows, then nobody gets to experience that medicine, right? So this is why we want to clear those ancestral stories and patterns so that we can begin to confidently share our message with the world. Okay, so that was number two, fear of visibility or speaking your truth. And so the next one, number three, feeling alone or unsupported. Feeling alone or unsupported. How many of you have felt like you're doing this all on your own and you feel alone? You feel like you can raise your hand or you can pop it in the chat if you want to. How have you felt like I'm just doing this all by myself? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. We feel like we're doing it all alone. We don't have the support. And sometimes we've even isolated ourselves because of that fear of visibility, right? We've isolated ourselves, and now we're not getting the support that we need to begin to share our voice, share our message, and get the support that we need. So I felt that way, like I was carrying it all. As I was walking through the gravesite, I felt this heaviness. I felt like I was carrying it all alone, and that I knew that I had these gifts and I knew that I wanted to share them. My grandmothers, who I had turned to for guidance and wisdom, were now at a point where they weren't able to really share that guidance with me. They were both healers and intuitives. They weren't available to share that information with me. And so I didn't know where to go with it. I didn't know what to do. I felt a little bit isolated and disconnected. And I noticed that as I am working with my clients, that that's what happens. There's this disconnect that takes place, this feeling of being alone and not being supported. And when we are connected, you feel lifted and you feel like you're being helped and held and supported. And I have a story of a client it's a real meaningful story to me because of the fact that she came to me at a time in her life where she was really, really struggling. And she had lost her husband to a tragic accident. She was left to raise her children on her own. They were all under the age of 6 at the time. She had not worked outside the home since she had her first child, and she was really struggling to find employment. And she knew that she really wanted to start a business, and she had always wanted to do that. And she had decided that after she got her children in school, that she would start her business. And she had studied a number of healing modalities. She had taken some classes and done some work that way. Then, after this tragic accident, she knew that she really wanted to do this work in a deeper way. She had been connecting with her ancestors to help support her through her grief and her children through their grief. I had been sharing with her different ways that she could do that. And then she said, but I still don't feel supported. So I gave her a ritual to do every morning. She had a ritual where she just got up and she asked for support for one thing that she needed that day. Just one thing that she needed that day. And I told her to focus on basically that same thing until she got the support that she needed. And so she did, and she did this practice for 2 weeks. And the one thing that she said that she needed is she needed one client that would help her to really know that what she was offering was powerful. Now, I've been telling her, the ancestors were telling her, but she needed that kind of proof. So she started asking the ancestors to help her identify clients or people that would be interested in her work. And I told her, let's shift that a little bit. Instead of asking them to identify them, ask them to bring the qualified people in without her having to hustle and struggle and, you know, do things that would take her time away from her children and helping her children deal with their grief. And so she changed it to, please bring me that one client that is the perfect fit for the work that I'm doing, for the work that you've called me to do. And that was her request every day. And in 2 weeks, she had the perfect client that not only signed up for her 3 month program, but asked if she could work with her for a full year. And she paid her in advance to work with her for a full year. Now, if that isn't proof right there that her work was important and that her work was helpful and that her work was powerful and impactful, I don't know what is. And it shows that when we make that connection with the ancestors, it really helps. Now, mind you, she did nothing different in terms of sharing her work with people. She wasn't doing ads on Facebook. She wasn't doing a lot of speaking events. She was basically just emailing her list, wasn't getting a response. Nobody was really interested in what she was doing. And then suddenly, let's let this person in. And then suddenly, this person who had been on her list, her email list for 2 years, decided to work with her, decided to work with her. So you see, when we connect with the ancestors, they create an opportunity for us to be in relationship with the people that are most aligned with the ancestral medicine that we have, that we are now called to share with the world. Yeah. So, how many of you have felt alone or unsupported? I asked you that question before, but now that we've talked about it, are you kind of seeing yourself in some of that where you feel like you're just kind of out there, kind of doing this by yourself? You can shake your head, you can nod, you can place a yes in the chat if you felt that way. Yeah, I did too. Absolutely. Yeah, so all of these kind of go together, patterns of scarcity and doubt, fear of visibility, speaking your truth, feeling alone or unsupported. And I even want to go back and touch on the visibility part because a lot of times people think visibility means I'm sharing on, social media and I'm sharing videos and, sort of that hustle visibility. That's not it. Same thing with her feeling alone. And I gave my client that ritual to do. It wasn't about her hustling more. It wasn't about her, doing more videos and doing more work. It was about her going within and connecting with the source that could bring her the people that she most needed to work with. So these aren't failures. None of these are failures. The feeling alone, the fear of visibility, the patterns of scarcity and doubt, these really aren't failures. They're signals, they're signs, they're messages from the ancestors The ancestors are calling you back to alignment, right? The key is not to hustle harder, it's to reconnect, reconnect. And that is something that is really important that I want to share with you because a lot of times we think we have to hustle more, we have to do more, we have to, get out there and be seen and be heard. When in reality, sometimes we just need to step back and reconnect, reconnect. So I want to do a ritual with you. Let me just make sure we don't have any other people that are trying to get in. Okay, great. Okay. So I want to do a ritual with you that is a quick ritual. So it's not anything that will take very long. We're going to do this together. And so I want you to just take a moment to close your eyes if you're in a safe space to do so. So be sure you're in a safe space. If not, I'm recording this, so you will be able to go back and listen to it again and do it then. But if you're in a safe place, I want you to just close your eyes and take a few slow breaths. And then place your hand over your heart. And just close your eyes. Relax for a moment. Just feel your breath. And then I want you to whisper to yourself, Ancestresses, rise in me. Reveal the wisdom you saved for this chapter of my life. And feel your body begin to relax, connecting deeper with the earth, feeling more grounded. And whisper again, Ancestresses, rise in me. Reveal the wisdom you saved for this chapter of my life. Let's do that again. Ancestresses, rise in me. Reveal the wisdom you saved for this chapter of my life. And now, as you stand or sit in a beautiful garden, imagine them gathering all around you. These are the women that came before you. These are the powerful women who are rising to support you on your journey. These are the women that will help you become more visible and release the fear. These are the women that will fill your life with abundance. These are the women that let you know that you are not alone on this journey, that they are sharing wisdom with you each day. Imagine them young, old, from distant lands, for many, many generations back. Some you knew, many you don't. They're all showing up in this beautiful garden, ready to support you. And you whisper again, Ancestresses, rise in me. Reveal the wisdom you saved for this chapter of my life. And the ancestors and the ancestresses surround you, holding you steady, supporting you, and you feel yourself being lifted, not physically, spiritually, emotionally. You feel lifted and supported, and they're helping you to rise into that powerful, powerful woman you know you are. Now take a deep breath. What word or phrase or feeling just came up for you? Identify it now. That's their message for you today. That's their message. So if you want, you can take a moment to just come back, come out of your relaxation. What message did they share with you? Did you see a symbol, a sign? Did you get any message? Feel free to share in the chat, or you can raise your hand and you can tell me what you saw. And sometimes you go through this again, you go through it a number of times, and then those messages start to be really meaningful. So if you got anything from that, if there's any message that you received, any image that you saw, I saw them physically in a circle surrounding me. It was a lovely, deep feeling, beautiful, beautiful. Yes. And what I would encourage, you felt safe, wonderful. Write those down. And then as you go back and do this, each time write down what you felt or experienced, and then go back and read them. And you'll find that the message that you need starts to unfold. For some people, they get it right there, right that time, the first time we do it or the second time we do it. But for other people, it's a series of messages over a period of time, which is where the way it was for me after I fell into that hole. It was a series of messages. I didn't get a complete download right in that moment. It was over a period of time that I received the messages from them. So this is a great way for you to receive the messages over a period of time, and a great ritual that you can do to get those messages. And this is exactly, I mentioned the Ancestral Power Portal, and this is exactly what we do inside the Power Portal on a daily basis is I give you morning rituals. And these are rituals that are quick, easy, fast to do, that will help you to receive the wisdom from your ancestors. And so you'll receive wisdom notes, you'll receive affirmations, rituals, and activations that will help you to have a deeper connection with your ancestors. And the portal is really a sacred space to reconnect with your ancestors, receive clarity for decisions and the next steps in your life, to heal stories of scarcity and silence, which is what we talked about today, and then strengthen your leadership and coaching practice by weaving in ancestral guidance into your work with others. And I find that right there is really powerful because as you begin to connect with your ancestors, you're able to seek guidance from them as you're working with your clients to help you to help your clients have an even deeper transformation. And so you really get to start each day connected instead of disconnected to your ancestors. So enrollment in the portal is open now. We begin on October 1st, but the moment you join, your actual experience begins because that's when I add you to my altar. I start working with the ancestors. I start working to do some healing work on you before we even step into the actual portal. So the October 1st is the day the doors open. It's also the day the doors close. And I would love for you to be one of the 15 people that I'm inviting to walk this path together. So you receive 21 days of connecting with your ancestors, 3 live sessions that will also be recorded, weekly healing activations to help you heal some of the stories that we just talked about, and you'll learn which ancestor is working with you right now. And that's really important. And it will help you have a deeper connection with that ancestor because you'll learn how to have a connection with that ancestor, but you'll learn which ancestor it is as well that is ready to walk this path with you. And that's why I'm keeping this to about 15 people. So we have time for me to give you some individual attention as well. You'll have 90 days of access to all of the recordings and all the materials and they will all be available in a portal for you. You just log in, everything will be there, and you'll have access to it all. So if you miss a day or you want to repeat the 21 days, you can go back at any time and do it. And you can join us today if you want to. And right now, the price is $247 to join us for the 21 days. If you join before Friday, the end of noon on Friday, before noon on Friday, you'll also receive the Healing Poverty Wounds course that I did. So you'll have access to that and you'll get access right away, which means you can start right away working with your ancestors and healing some of the scarcity wounds that we talked about in the beginning of our talk today. And so this bonus is available just until Friday at noon, $247, and then the price goes up to $333 after that. So just remember, you're not blocked, you're being called. And the question is, will you answer? I want to thank you so much for being here. I'll stay for a few minutes for questions. And if you are watching the replay, anyone watching the replay, just comment portal and I'll get you that link. But for now, if you have questions, I'm open. Just raise your hand and let's talk. Yes, Pat, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
I do energy work, and so I'm always concerned about calling in not the right energy into the space. So that's kind of what's been held me back from dealing with the ancestral energy. Any suggestions?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. You always, no matter what spirit you're working with, whether it's the spirit guides, angels, ancestors, you're always asking for and setting the intention that you're connecting only with the highest, purest, ascended, kind, loving guides, period. And you can say that ahead of time, right? You can just say, that's who I'm connecting with, that's who I want to come through. And if at any time you're feeling an uncomfortableness, like maybe a lower energy is coming through, you have the power to just say, you're not welcome here. I don't want you here. I don't want to connect with you. And you can just basically stop it right there. The other thing that you can do is before you actually start connecting, to sit quietly and identify an ancestor that you know that is a positive ancestor. It could be a blood ancestor. It could be someone famous that you have heard of, or someone you've read their book, someone you admire. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a family member. It can be anyone that you know, that lived and you want to call forward. And sit for a minute and ask them to ground you with protection. And when you do that, begin to see them creating this beautiful white light around you that is keeping out anything that is dark, right? Because you're wanting to attract the light. And you just ask them to keep a shield around you of white light that only allows those kind, loving, powerful, ascended ancestors and guides to come and work with you. And begin to practice that. And the more you practice that, the more you'll find you're comfortable and you'll know what you're attracting and what you may want to get rid of. What I have found is that when you do this on a regular basis before you start connecting, the lower energies just don't come through. You know, you just absolutely don't come through. The other thing that happens is over a period of time, those ancestors will then start to create a contract with you of who they bring in to your space, physically and non-physically. You have an agreement of what comes through. And that is a really powerful place to be in too, because oftentimes the fear of visibility has to do with us not wanting to attract people who will attack us or have negative things to say. And the more we work with our ancestors, the more they block those people out. And those people just don't even see us. They don't even see that. They just completely miss it, right? So that's a process that you can start right away. And then there are other tools and things that I have that will help as well. But that one will get you started and hopefully make you feel a little more comfortable with making the connection. And I can tell you, when you set the intention that you want to connect with the positive spirits, that's what comes through.
Thank you very much. That was very helpful.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Carrie, you have your hand up?
Um, I I was gonna share the uh what I got in the meditation.
Yes.
Um, just because it went all over the place, which is my MO.
Gotcha.
I had visions of where the place where I got married was an outdoor place, and it was there, and then it was a place sunflower full of sunflowers, and then there was another garden that I went to, and I can't remember the flower, but it's in San Francisco, and it's the whole garden is all kinds of these different versions of the same flower, and um but at one point all these women like stretched their hands toward me, and all this white light kind of came into my body and elevated me, like I was it felt like I was being physically lifted.
Yes.
The other thing that happened right before we started, like when you said you wanted to do a ritual, is that was that what you called it? A ritual? I don't
Ritual.
remember what you called it,
Mhm.
but I got this chill, and I realized that this happens a lot when I set the intention to, do a meditation or something spiritual. My whole body will get like a chill, and it feels like it's saying, I want you to feel this. Like, get grounded into your body, feel your body. And there's like reasons for that. I've been disconnected from my body a lot, and so sometimes it I have to actually set the intention and make myself feel my whole body. And so, if I wanted to, I could chalk it up to the ceiling fan that's right over my head, and oh, I just got a chill. But I'm not going to diminish it like that. I think that it was the ancestors getting my attention. The only other thing that, for all the three that you talked about, I have all of them. Um, but for all different reasons. And my repeating pattern seems to be like a sabotaging thing where I will get so gung ho about anything and everything. I'll get started, I'll start doing it. And then at some point, I lose it. Like I lose that enthusiasm, and it starts to feel heavy. Like I don't want to do this anymore. All these ways that I will walk away from the gift.
Yeah.
So there's that. I think that's it. I did have a question, but you kind of answered it when you talked about how to manage that negative energy that wants to show up. And so that you helped with that. Thank you.
You're welcome. What I'm sensing from what you said about the field with the flowers and the being in the place where you got married, it sounds like there's a lot of new growth coming on, right? There's newness coming on. And I know that you're going through some transitions right now that are creating newness. And what I sense from what you were saying is that the ancestors are telling you that it will be beautiful, but you are in a growing period where things are growing and expanding, and you're doing some starting over and doing some things that are new. And just be with it and be peaceful with it, just like you were in the garden, just like you are when you go to San Francisco and you sit amongst those flowers. Just be with it and be peaceful with it and allow it to just begin to unfold for you in ways, knowing that you're going through a growth period. In terms of the starting things and being gung ho, let's continue to work on that in our work that we're doing together and work through that. And oftentimes that happens when we are really excited about something and we haven't stopped for a moment and just kind of grounded into it to determine if it's just exciting us in the moment or is it long term? Is it our minds that are telling
Mhm.
us, or is it the guidance that we're receiving?
Oh, okay.
If it's the guidance that we're receiving, what will happen is it will continue to stay there, right? It'll continue to be there. If it's our minds, it can come and it can go, it can come and it can go, exciting in 1 minute, not exciting in the next. But when we're being guided to something, that guidance doesn't change. How we get there sometimes changes, how they express the message to us will change, but the actual thing that we're here to create doesn't change until we've created it. Then they might guide us on to something else. But that is, stop sometimes, write down what it is that you feel excited about in the moment, write it down and just see how it comes up in other ways. Is it coming up in your dreams? Are you meditating and it's coming up? Are you thinking and it continuously comes up? Then you can say, okay, well, let me put a little bit of energy towards that. For you, the other thing too is you feel deeply in your body for many reasons. When we lose one sense, we gain a deeper sense in other areas. And you feel in your body. Start to really document the different ways your body is feeling based on the different things that are going on in your life. So it might be even keeping a journal like, when did I start to feel the coolness? What was the message when I started feeling that chill come over me? And oftentimes that can be a sign that your ancestors want to connect with you. Like in my case, they actually start a ringing noise in my ear. And I start to hear it. That shouldn't really say it's a ringing noise. It's more like the sound of the ocean, right? That will come in. Well, I love the ocean. I love the water. And that sound will start to come in. And I know, ooh, now it's time for me to connect. Or I have to say, you know what? I'm driving down the street. That's not happening right now. Right. And that's happened from time to time as well. And start to notice if you start receiving messages and that chill starts to come up, then you know that that's one of their touch points for you in connecting with you. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Anyone else have any questions? Okay. Well, I want to thank you again for joining me. And I will, let's see, did I put the link in? Let me put the link for just in case you're interested in joining me for the Ancestral Portal. And if you have questions about it, you can also send me a message and I will be more than happy. Carrie, did you have another question? Oh, okay. Okay. There's the link to the Ancestral Portal. And I gave you a link to some of the free resources that are available on my website as well. In fact, I just added a blog post on the website about you're not blocked, you're disconnected. So if you want to dive a little bit deeper and look into that, you can as well. Okay, any other questions before we do a little closing? Okay, thank you so much for being here. I'm so grateful that you joined me in this circle and that you're a part of the ancestrally rooted community. I am just delighted that you're here and thank you for allowing me to share with you about the ancestors and for connecting into your ancestors here today. So I'll just have you close your eyes for a moment and take a deep breath. To the ancestors, the loving, kind, powerful, ascended ancestors, those who are here to guide us on our path, those who are the wisdom keepers that are holding the wisdom that is being passed to us to help us to fully shine our light in the world. We thank you. We invite you to continue to walk with us, and we ask you to share your messages in ways that we can hear it. In full faith, so be it, so be it. Okay. Bye for now. And I will be doing another talk next week. So I don't know what the topic is yet. I'm kind of waiting to hear from the ancestors about what we're going to share, but we'll be sharing something new and different. So thank you again for being here and have a wonderful night, evening, morning, wherever you are in the world. And for those who are listening to the replay, just type in portal and I will share with you the access information to the Ancestral Power Portal and the free resources that are available as well. Have a good day. Bye for now.